Hi there and welcome. Welcome back if you're new here. I'm Brenda and this is Lost Nation Maple Homestead. Today we're going to be doing some gather your fragments type of cooking here. I was cleaning out the refrigerator and we have a couple of different leftovers of some things that I want to use up. I had some sourdough bread that was almost to the point of going by. It was not as fresh as we like it, so I cut it up into chunks and I'm making a French toast casserole with it. So that's soaking and getting up the liquid for that. I do have an abundance of eggs, so I may make a quiche. I wanted to try to use some of the Swiss chard that I got out of the garden to use that in place of spinach and just sort of make a vegetable quiche. So we'll see how things go. And the first thing I'm going to do is dump all of my bread, my sourdough bread that's been soaking in this French toast mixture. I've greased my pan, and this is just smaller. It's not a 13 by 9. I think it's 11 by 7. I've greased this up so that it just doesn't stick too bad. And I'm just going to put this in this casserole dish. I've made a crumb topping for the top. I'm going to let it soak overnight, just like this, and I'm going to bake it in the morning. So we'll have a French toast casserole in the morning. So just kind of flatten it out a little bit. Usually I use like a French bread from the grocery store, but I've really been trying this summer to learn my sourdough and trying to figure that out a little bit. So then I end up having a little bit of a extra amount of bread and things, which isn't a bad thing. So this is a crumb topping that I made. This topping has butter, cinnamon, brown sugar, flour. I put some walnuts in there as well, just chopped them up really small. Didn't call for it in the recipe, but I thought it would be good on top of it. So I'll link the recipe in the description box below. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up, and that will just sit in the refrigerator overnight. Another breakfast I thought I might do is some oatmeal in the Instant Pot. I have a great recipe that Steve and I like a lot. But anyways, it's super easy to put together. So I'm going to cut up my apples and throw that into the Instant Pot. Have that cooking. Slip quite as much. We don't eat apples as much as we used to. I don't know, just eating them plain makes my stomach really upset, but I can eat them cooked in something now. I used to be able to eat apples all the time, but for some reason the last couple of years they've been bothering my stomach. So trying to think of other uses for them. One being this oatmeal. This is a really good use for it. I do make apple crisp a lot. I make apple bread and apple muffins quite a bit. So we do use a lot of the apples. It's just, I don't know, I just used to be able to eat so many more. I'm gonna cut this bad spot off of this, I guess. There we go. So I leave the peel right on the apple when I'm cooking it in the oatmeal recipe, because it cooks in the pressure cooker for quite a while. Well, not for quite a while. It doesn't take very long to cook it. It's just cooking at that high heat and that high pressure really does make the apples super soft anyways. So, and you definitely don't, well, the peel does not bother me. If it bothers you, you can certainly take off the peel. But what I'm going to do here is just kind of chunk up my apples. I dice them a little bit smaller, but it's definitely personal preference. I don't want a minced apple, but at the same time I want to have a little chunk of apple to have a little texture in the oatmeal. I also use, I do not use quick oats either when I'm making my oatmeal. I always use the whole old-fashioned oats. Okay. Yeah, right there. 365 days of slow cooking is what it's called. And then she has lots of pressure, instant pot pressure cooking recipes as well. Okay, so for the oatmeal, it needs the 2 apples. I did 3. I'm actually doubling the recipe, but not quite doubling the apples. So I've got 3 apples here, 1 cup of oatmeal, but I'm doubling it. So I'm doing 2 cups of oatmeal. And if I'm doubling it, always do equal parts. So I'm going to go 2 cups of water, 2 cups of milk. When you're making the oatmeal with steel cut oats, you need more milk and more water. But if you're making it with the old-fashioned oats, it's just equal parts water, milk, and oatmeal. So I have 2 cups of oatmeal here. I've got 2 cups of milk, and then I added 2 cups of water in here. So I'm going to add these right in my Instant Pot container or my Instant Pot pan with the apples. Just going to pour the water and the milk right over that. It calls for 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, but of course I'm doubling it, so I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. It sounds like a lot, but it's quite a bit of oatmeal. This oatmeal will last us all week long, so. You'll hear Maple whining in the background. She does not like the vacuum at all. So when the vacuum is going, she does not care for it. All right, it calls also for cinnamon. It calls for 1/2 of a teaspoon, so I'm going to do 1 full teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, you're fine, honey. Calls for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Alright, and now for the salt, it calls for 1/2 teaspoon. So I have everything but all of these measurements here. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You can either use flax seeds or chia seeds. It really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I interchange them whatever I have. It's optional anyways, but it's 2 tablespoons because I'm doubling it, so okay. Alright, so you just take a spoon and you just kind of mix it around. I am not a very neat cook or baker or anything. I'm usually covered, so I always make sure that I wear an apron. Okay, so we're just going to give this a little bit of a stir. Doesn't matter if you don't stir it up too much anyways, it's fine. Now in the Instant Pot, you want to put 1 cup of water. That's what's going to help bring it to pressure. And then I always use a rack. You could use something like this or something like that. I prefer this one because it's like a sling and it kind of keeps it all together. So the oatmeal The oatmeal will go right on top of here. The pan of the oatmeal will go on top of it. And then this just kind of creates like a sling that you can lift it up with. You can get these on Amazon. I'll link them down below. So it goes right on top of the water, and then you just take your Instant Pot liner and you put it into your Instant Pot. Now my Instant Pot is over there. I'm just going to set it in there and then get it started. So okay, so you're going to set your Instant Pot on manual pressure, and you're going to cook it for 15 minutes. And when the time is up, you let the pot sit for 10 minutes and just do a natural release, and then you're going to move that valve to venting. If there's any extra pressure after 10 minutes, just let the pressure out and then go ahead and open up your Instant Pot. Okay, so correction. For old-fashioned rolled oats, like I said, it was equal parts oatmeal, water, and milk. And then it only goes on for 10 minutes, I was gonna say, because the steel cut oats are quite a bit harder, so they require more cooking time. So just 10 minutes on the Instant Pot. And then you set that to sealing, and then you just walk away from that. That's gonna get cooking. And now I'm gonna put together my spinach quiche using my Swiss chard as the vegetable. I took this pie crust out of the freezer this morning. I set it on the counter, and as you can see, it still has the little butter bits in there, so it's really thawed enough. It's still really cold, but it's thawed enough to roll out into a pie crust, and that's just how I want it. I'm going to roll from the inside out. I had these disposable pie plates in the pantry, and when I was cleaning out, I thought, I just need to use those. I really don't use them very often. Sometimes when I'm making freezer meals, if I'm making a whole bunch of chicken pot pies or something, I might use them, but right now is not the season for that, so. I'm just going to flute my pie crust. I've done this on my channel before, but basically you're just taking your index finger and your thumb on the outside edge and then pushing with your, I'm using my left hand index finger so that it provides an edge, but you can use just a fork and squish down the edges of a pie crust as well. Either one. Right here for now, clean up my mess. I'm going to prick the pie crust with a fork and bake it in an oven for 400 degrees, about 10 minutes. I put this pie crust ring over the top so that the top crust doesn't get too brown. I'm going to bake it in an oven at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. So I'm just going to get this oatmeal is almost all the way cool, so I'm just going to get it into the containers that we're going to put into the refrigerator. So it's very, very hearty oatmeal. It's delicious. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of maple syrup on it, although it is sweet enough by itself. I do sometimes still put some on, but pie crust. I'll probably give one container either to my father or my mother-in-law, whichever one we go to see first. Sometimes I split it between them. And into the refrigerator they go. The pie crust is ready. I'll take off the outer ring. So it puffs up just a little bit of brown on the golden, a little bit of golden brown on the outside edge. Okay. Now we'll get the inside ready. Calls for 4 large eggs. 1¼ cups of heavy cream. A pinch of ground nutmeg. A teaspoon of salt. Eighth teaspoon of pepper. You can use cayenne pepper if you like. If you like it spicy, we don't really care for it too spicy. I'm going to just use mozzarella because I've got mozzarella left over. So I'm gonna change. Alright, I've still got my onions. I'm going to put in there. It's like 10 ounces. I think I'm going to weigh mine. I honestly don't know how much we have here, so I'll weigh this first. And then that's at 0, so okay. I think I'm going to take the stems off these. I don't want. We eat the stems when if we boil them or steam them or whatever, but I don't want them in my pie crust, in my pie. So I'm just going to take the stems off. Chop this up. I'm gonna drain it. Get some of that liquid off of there. I've got a little bit of feta cheese too. I'm going to put that in there. Let's see if this is 10 ounces. Probably not. I'm going to put the rest of this feta cheese in here though. Just to use that up. is 2 cups, so I'm going to do half of the package here. It gives it a pretty color. I hope it's going to be good. I mean, I can't imagine it wouldn't be. I love spinach quiche, so. I go with half of this package. I'm just going to go ahead and fill my pie crust. It smells delicious. Just going to make sure that it's all spread out so you can have bits of cheese and bits of Swiss chard in every bite. Okay. I'm going to put the ring back on the top of it because now it's going to bake in a 325 oven for 50 to 55 minutes. So put that back in the oven. Ready to go into the oven. That bakes for 55 to 60 minutes. Okay. The quiche should be finished. Let's look at it and see. So I took the ring off about 5 minutes ago. Looks like it might need another 5 minutes or so in the center. So I'm going to cook it for another 5 minutes. There is the Swiss chard, the Swiss chard quiche, I'm going to call it. It's a spinach quiche recipe. I just replaced the spinach with the Swiss chard, but it looks delicious. I can't wait to try some of that. Got my 2 loaves of artisan bread rising for their first rise. The sourdough French toast was absolutely delicious. The oatmeal is always a favorite. We have it quite a few times during the month. And the quiche was really good as well. I think I'll make another couple for the freezer when I... Thanks for watching. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button.